let's talk about what it's like pricing your home in a declining market, because we've seen a lot of that lately.
Yes.
Why are you smiling like that?
Because I love this analogy so much.
She knows what I'm going to say.
I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
What we've seen over and over again in this declining market is that homeowners hungry to keep their equity want to price their home higher than it's likely going to sell for. And it's like skeet shooting, when they shoot the clay pigeon in front of you and you have to shoot it with a shotgun. If you try to shoot the clay pigeon by aiming directly at it, your shot's always behind it and you never hit it. And you can just shoot over and over and over again. And that's what's happening in their pricing model is they say, well, I paid $500,000 for my home. I want to list it for $500,000. Well, right now the market's saying that it's going to be like $475.
Right.
And no, I want 500, or at least I want to try. Okay, well, we'll try, but then we need to lower it if we don't get traffic. And if we can't get it sold, okay, but then we do that. And the market that day, it was actually should have been at 475. So now it hasn't sold and they're getting frustrated. And like, what do we have to do? Well, we have to lower the price so that we can make people want to buy it. This is assuming that it's a nice place and it doesn't have any problems. So then what happens is now their house is selling should be at 450. Well, guess what? They want to lower their price to 475. So we're equally behind the market all the time, and they're frustrated. It's not selling. Yeah. And when you're shooting skeet or trap or anything like that, if you're trying to hit a moving target, you anticipate where that target's going so that your bullet or shot from your shotgun is going to meet it at that point so that you can make a deal happen there. And ideally, you're going to try to price. You're looking at average price, looking at the average prices. You're looking at days on market. You're making adjustments for credits and debits based on what's better than usual about this home, what's not quite as good as usual for this home, and you try to get really sharp and get a little bit ahead of the market. So when you see those houses that turn quicker in a down market, they're doing that. And word to the wise, the faster and more aggressive you are about that, the more likely you are to get your home sold while the price is where it's at, rather than waiting and waiting and waiting. And what happens is if you don't act quickly and you don't price it right, you will follow the market all the way to the bottom. You will never get your house sold at a decent price because you'll always be demanding a little bit too much. Where if you had made the deal the first week, like so let's say that you have a 6-month listing, which has happened this year, homes that went on the market in February and March. We've just gone through that 6-month term. I had one of those homes. And the whole time we chased the market down. The whole time the agent's saying, I don't want to make it sound like I want my job to be easier, but this market is declining. And I would show, we would do charts like that's why we do our absorption rate charts.
Right.
And we pull together prices and we do pricing charts and models depending on where you're at. It's too much for this show, but so we do that. And we're like, here's where we're at. This is where we think we need to be. And that there are those few sellers that just are like, no, through force of will, I want my house to get more money.
Yeah.
And
I think
can happen.
A lot of people just believe that you just need the one. You just need one. You just need one person to fall in love with it. That's true. But that's
rare.
It's very unlikely. You're not going to find that one person who's going to look for that place if you have it priced wrong.
Exactly.
And also the longer it's on the market, the more people think there are problems with it. So plus if your fear is, okay, if I price it too low, then this is what they're going to pay for it. That's not how pricing works in housing. Pricing, if you price it low, let's say you price it too low, you price it below market by some margin. Well, the people who are buying have probably been looking for 3 months and are trying to find something. And suddenly your house that fits their description is below market. They want it now. So then you get into a bidding war and it often bids up to market or above. So if you're going to take a risk and try with the intention of making more, you're going to have more luck if you price it below market than above, even in a rising market.
Right. That's what common sense tells you, but homes are really personal and it's really hard for sellers to do that. And in return, now that we feel like we're bouncing along the market, so for example, in Manhattan, I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I want to talk about projections, what we think is going to happen in the future. But
okay, can I Okay, keep going.
If you buy right now, I think at least now, if you're in the suburbs, I think you're buying at a high. I couldn't. If somebody said, well, what do you think my equity is going to look like in a couple of years out here in the suburbs? You're not going to hear me say, oh, I think you'll be fine.
No, yeah.
Well, if the vaccine works and things go back 75% like they were before, Manhattan was Manhattan for a reason, and those people are going to want to be in Manhattan, and I think it's going to be great. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of reduction in the suburbs because there is a reason why the suburbs weren't super hot just before the pandemic. And that reason will probably come back. So I think the suburbs are.
They weren't crazy hot, but they have been.
They've been strong. They've been strong.
They've been strong for a long time. I mean, the bidding wars. They were still having bidding wars then, but the bidding wars were between like 3 to 6 people instead of 8 to 10. So
yeah, and maybe 5, 10, 15% over ask, not 50% over ask.
Yeah.
Some of those are just crazy.
Yeah, they are in the lower price bracket. That's 50%, but still, but like 20, you got 20. That's still a huge percentage over ask.
It's just not likely that that's sustainable.
And even in the higher ones, I have seen personally in a couple of the negotiations we have out in the suburbs, it doesn't seem quite as high over ask now. So the absorption rate is pretty crazy, but I think the number of buyers is also dwindling. So not by a lot, but by a little.
Well, I think that's part of what's pushing our market here back up just a little bit, or helping increase our absorption rate.
Yeah, they got exhausted by it. And they're also going, okay, well, there's no way I'm making this money back later. So they're starting to look here for more options.
Yeah, and I think it's a safer bet.